yourself have a gailan l'makam Torah. You make it like it's a galus, Hashem takes that away from you. A person keeps Shemitah, not easy. Hashem says, you made it not easy, I'll take away your galus that was supposed to happen. So you see from here, it protects. Furthermore, when a person waits the 7 years, and you do it times 7, it comes out to waiting for Yovel, 50 days, 50 years. It represents this idea of Sfira Sa'imer. We're counting up. He says that's like a Zava, a woman who's waiting for 7 days to get her clean days. We're also going, and we're now having patience towards Hashem, that we're building ourselves up to now greet Him properly. We're not just walking in haphazard. We're going in with patience. Furthermore, pH. I'm sorry I'm doing this because normally I would never do this with that. But freedom. It's not spelled that. It's enough. But freedom. pH. Freedom. Yovel is durar. It is free. A person that keeps Yovel is a free man. The only free person is someone who learns Torah. You can do whatever you want. I can learn whatever I want. And think about whatever I want. I always tell this to people. Always, the Marsha writes, Uknei lecha chaver. Kaneh is also referring to a reed or a pen. He says, if you want to have chedushim that will last forever, Knei lecha chaver. Make your pen your friend. Write down your chedushim. Write down your questions. I have star in my mind, Baruch Hashem. I'm not trying to show. I'm just trying to say anyone can do it. I have star in my mind that I would open up and I'd be like, I haven't seen this in years, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, wow, that was a good chiddush. It's in my handwriting. I never remembered I did that. You should know there's a great sefer. One day maybe we should give a share on that. Good idea. Chanukah Satar, the Rebbe Reb Hershel. Small little thin sefer. This sefer, every single vart is a grand slam. Every single vart. There's very few storm I've seen. Every single one is like, wow, 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 wow. It's like, what? Everyone is like, Zera Shimshon is like that. Wow, wow, wow. But Zera Shimshon is pretty, it has good volumes. The Rebbe Reb Hershel and Chanukah are very, very thin. What happened? The Rebbe Reb Hershel was known to be a prolific speaker, an amazing writer, and everyone loved his chedushim. So the story goes is that people told him, Rebbe, could you please write your Torah? We want it for posterity. We want to go through it. People will be uplifted from that. So he says, okay, bring out all my chedushim. I want to see it. So the story goes is that it was a cold winter night, roaring fire in the background. They took out all his chedushim, and then after the night was over, there were 2 piles on the table. One pile was sky high. Another pile was not so much, but it was pretty significant. And the story goes is that after they finished, he looked over every paper, put that. He says to the Gabbai, okay. And with that, he went to the big pile, picked it up, the Rebbe himself, picked it up, walked over to the raging fire, and threw it in. Seamus questions, I know I had the same question as you. He threw it in, crackly clap, pop, 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 pop. The Gabbai looked in horror and he thought, his Rebbe lost his mind. He's like, what just happened here? These are like Chedushei Torah. They spent years honing and practicing and writing. And the Rebbe's sitting there saying, don't move, don't touch it. I want it to burn to a crisp. So he looks at the other Chedushim, he's like, what's the Rebbe going to do with that? He says, let me explain to you. He says, that small pile, if it was not in my own handwriting, I would never have believed it was mine. He said, the big massive pile, I remember all that stuff. So in every Dvar Torah that was in that big pile, there's a little of me inside. A little bit of arrogance, a little bit of gaiva. That was me. I thought of that. Ooh, that was my little... But the other one? I don't remember saying that. The other one, the smaller one, that is from Hashem. That's what the people need to hear. Somebody who can think like that has real freedom. They're not bound by the shackles of arrogance and being limited. I want people to hear Torah. Happens to be, I'm the conduit. So when a person thinks like that, you're going to give tzedakah easier. You'll give shiurim easier. You'll just be laid back about life and everything's great and good because Hashem, you've got me. I know you've got me because look, I'm here. It makes no sense how I'm here. I'm here. So I'm here. If I'm here, I'm standing on my 2 feet and I'm here. So obviously Hashem has a plan for me. You have freedom. The Gemara tells us that when Eretz Yisrael will be re-inhabited once again, that all of Klal Yisrael will come back at Kibbutz Goliath, when Mashiach will come, it will stretch out. What do you mean to stretch out? Says Zera Shimshon, you know what that means? It means most of Eretz Yisrael, at the time of the Churban, actually contracted. It went into the bowels of earth. Literally, got swallowed up. So when you see this little tiny land, this sliver of land called Eretz Yisrael, modern day Israel, how are we going to have all the millions or maybe even billions of people for Tchiyas HaMesim? So they say Eretz Yisrael will expand. I mean, you're talking about a big expansion. What does that mean? Answer is because it's there. It's in the ground. It's packed away. And the same thing as well. Yovel, it's packed away. It's in the ground. It's ready to burst forth when the right time comes. And finally, you have to know that your bracha that you do in your life, that you have, the pious things that you do, Pete, the pious things that you do, that causes the bracha in the weather, bracha and everything. People are good. The world is awesome. Everything is great. When you learn Torah and you keep Shemitah. So mine is Shemitah, it's Har Sinai. He says, in the prat, in this idea of it being a detail, and then he ends off with a bow. And then with this, I'd like to conclude with two stories. He ends on with a bow and he says, that's the diktuk el, the fine points. He says, what's the fine point? The fine point of Shemitah is there's something called tzvichim. Tzvichim are the little outer growths that grow on top of produce. He says that you could eat during Shemitah because you never anticipated it was going to be there. Why? So the Gemara says something the Mishnah in Shvi'ah says something very unique. It says the reason why you could eat tzvichim is because they're min ha-hefker. They are totally ownerless. Totally ownerless. What does that mean? Because no one owns it. You're not taking away from Shemitah. You're not taking away from the land. It belongs to anyone. Torah is given at Har Sinai because it has to be hefker, has to be ownerless. Just like you have to feel it's ownerless, everyone can do or say whatever they want to be. I'm doing my thing. It's ownerless. And a person has to know the same thing as well. You have to feel Hashem is in charge. When Hashem is in charge, it's hefker, whatever. Hashem, I know you got my back. What? People are going to take advantage of you. How can they take advantage of me? What does that mean? I'm here. No, nothing can happen to me. Nothing. If Hashem doesn't want it to happen to me, it won't. A person has to recognize that. There was a story that Rav Shulevitz, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of Lomzhi Yeshiva, and he came to the Chavetz Chaim because what happened was they were looking desperately for a mashkiach for the Bachram, and they felt if they got the right mashkiach, the yeshiva would be unbelievable. So there was a very well-regarded mashkiach that everyone gave the greatest accolades and said, he's the man, he's going to bring everyone to the next level. So Reb Shulevitz didn't know if it's true or not, so he figured, he tells this Yid, he says, listen, I heard great things about you, I don't know. Go to the Kohen HaGadol Me'echav, go to the great Kohen Gadol, go to the Chavetz Chaim, and speak to the Chavetz Chaim. And after you speak to the Chavetz Chaim, I'll make a special trip to Radin, and I will speak to the Rosh Yeshiva as well. So he goes there, he sends a telegram to Reb Shulevitz that says, I spoke with the Chavetz Chaim. He's awaiting your arrival. Immediately Reb Shulevitz went to Radin, and he came to the Chavetz Chaim. He introduced himself. The Chavetz Chaim says, yeah, what are you here for? He says, this is this Yid for the Mashkiach for Lomzhi Yeshiva. He was waiting for him to say, take him, because everyone was saying, take him. Chavetz Chaim says, absolutely not. Usher to take him. Usher to take him. What? Why? Listen to this. He says, in order for someone to be an effective educator, they have to be someone who's hefker. They have to be someone who says, whatever happens to me is not me. I'm just communicating what Hashem wants, and it has nothing to do with me. He says, when he came to me, he started talking to me about his upcoming job. At first, I said, wow, there's great promises. Talmid Chacham holds himself in high regard. Then he just started talking about himself, and himself, and himself, and himself, and himself. And he started saying crazy things that he would do if someone would cross him. He says, that's a mashkiach? That's someone who's going to lift up the next generation? You have to have someone who is selfless. Someone who's selfless, that willing to say, whatever, it's okay. It doesn't have to be, it's someone, whatever. You don't have to know. He says, that is the person who will build the future generation, not someone who's thinking about themselves. It's also for you to take him. So you see, from here, if you want to be a conduit, like I one time saw, I say the modern day poets are the guys with the t-shirts. They write great lines, epic lines, and great graphics sometimes. And they had a line which was, life's not complicated, human beings make it so. It's so true. Hashem makes such a beautiful world. It's so not complicated. But we complicate it. We make it so complicated. Get yourself out of the way, like they say. For all those who say it can't be done, get out of the way for someone who's trying to make it get it done. That's so true in anything in life. There are people trying to get things done. So you're either, I tell people, it's binary. You're either on the side of trying to make things done, or you're the side who's not doing it and you're just getting in the way. So you have to choose which one you are. So a person has to make themselves hefker. And this story, forgive me if I get a little emotional, because this was a story, the first time I read it, I just started crying so much, thinking about how someone has the presence of mind, but if you are someone who's hefker, you can have that presence of mind, because it's not about me. Rabbi Trenk, if you've never read the book, you have to read this book. I promise you, if you read this book, first of all, your idea for what mechanchem do for us, what Mechanchim are doing for our families, what they do, the great mysterious nefesh and sacrifice that they have, you'll understand that when you see someone like that, a legend like that, you have to understand there are other people doing that too. Completely selfless. This is such a moving story. Rav David Trenk had it seems like it was a whole Shabbaton, or I'm not exactly sure, it was an in Shabbos. Basically the Bachrim from Adelphia were there. Now if you ask anyone from the Northeast to describe Adelphia Yeshiva for you, just let's put it this way, they were finding themselves. They were on a journey, right? And sometimes the journey was a little messy. Let's put it that way, okay? Rav David Trenk actually got a broken jaw because one guy got so upset at him that he was in a bad mood that his parents were in the middle of getting a divorce, so he had to punch the nearest person. It happened to be his mashgiach. He broke his jaw. And he kept on punching him. And the only way that he stopped punching him was because Mrs. Trenk saw that her husband was on the floor as this guy was pounding him into the floor, and she had to peel the guy off. And he said, don't worry, it's okay, right? And they have to go run to the hospital. You understand? This is what we're talking about. But that's not the emotional story. The emotional story goes like this. It was an Adelphia in Shabbos. And Rabbi Trenk was farbringing with the Olam, and he was singing Zmiris and lifting them up. And then in the middle of, it's Friday night, it's late at night, I don't know, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock, I don't know what, it's some very late hour. One of the boys turns to Rabbi Trenk and goes, oh my gosh, where's Shlomi? Shlomi's not here. So this is a real security concern. No one knew where he was. He wasn't there at the table. He wasn't in the dorm room. Where is he? Not only that, one boy looked very pale, and Rabbi Trenk went over to him and says, is everything all right? He says, Rebbe, Shlomi? He's like, yeah. He's like, I saw him take the Rebbe's keys from the ring in the kitchen, and he drove the car. Suddenly Rabbi Trenk. Now I want you to think about this, right? Most people be like, what in the world? A Bachar saw that. Machal Shabbos. He took my car, the thief, that scumbag, that lowlife. I mean, that's what most people will be thinking. Suddenly Rabbi Trenk is like thinking, where would he go? Where would he go? Suddenly he goes, oh, I remember. He told me before Shabbos that he was really looking forward to going to a certain movie. It just got released. And just was getting released that Friday night. Friday was when they were releasing it. The premiere. And this guy was talking about this movie. He goes, he probably went to the movie theater. So Rabbi Trenk, with his Shabbos begadim, walks to the movie theater. A couple miles away. On Shabbos, Friday night. He finally gets to this place. He opens the door. He comes into the movie theater. And the lady goes, okay, do you have... He's like, ma'am, I'm really sorry. He says, but a student of mine, he's in one of these rooms. Is there a movie talking about such and such? You remember what the guy was talking about? Yeah, it's in door number 3. He goes, okay, I'm not watching the movie. I just have to tell him something. Do I have your permission to go in? Which is, by the way, amazing. Let's say she would have said no, right? Then he would have gone in. So she says, yeah, he's in room 3. Ma'am, I promise you I'll be right back. I just have to tell him something. I don't know about you. Pause that frame right there. What would you tell a guy who just ripped off your car in front of other Bachrim, and he had the audacity to be Machal Shabbos in a yeshiva? Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Return my car. And I don't want to hear from you anymore. Listen to what he says. He pulls up right behind where the boy was sitting because he didn't want to startle him. And then he leaned forward and whispered in the boy's ear. He says, Shlomi, be very careful. The popcorn may not be kosher. And with that, he turned back and walked out. This boy, he thought he was going to say something else to him. He turned around, gone. He thought he was imagining something like, what is going on over here? Was that Rabbi Trenk or was it not? I thought I heard him. I thought I saw him. What's going on? And yet, that's what he's worried about? The answer is, when you're hefker, yeah, don't eat non-kosher. It's going to destroy your neshama. You had a taiva, you stole my car, you have a taiva for that. You want to see a movie on Shabbos, you have a taiva for that. You want to be Machal Shabbos, you have a taiva for that. But eating the popcorn, Yehuda, you hear? Eating the popcorn, that's got to be kosher popcorn. So thank you for the kosher popcorn. So popcorn, you can't put non-kosher, ingest non-kosher. That's someone who's hefker. If you realize that, so many things will go by. And if we just stop and just take a step back and go, 1 second, if I was looking at this as an objective observer, how would I respond? I have to say, I got to give my wife a lot of credit. She pulls this on me so many times. She goes, Yeshua, stop right now. Before you get wound up and very upset, because I'm a sensitive guy, and certain things bother me, she says, 1 second, what would you tell you if you were a congregant of yourself? And they were telling you what you were doing. What would you say to them? I'm like, Take yourself out of it. What about, it's nothing to do with you. Take yourself out of that and step back. What would you say? I probably would say it a little differently. Good, so then talk different. If we understand that ma'in is shmita etzal arsina, we understand this idea of making ourselves hefker, the world would be an awesome place. And that's what the Zera Shimshon is saying. Mitzvah Hashem, we could start right now. Think of different scenarios that we could do. Pull ourselves out. Take out the zich. Take out the arrogance. Take out the us inside of it. If we do that, we'll be zecher to all these brachas of having that Hashem says, you're going to have that I watch over you, and you are indeed protected. Have an awesome Shabbos.